the movement towards a cashless society seems highly likely, if not inevitable. In the near future, cash could become obsolete and your phone could completely replace your wallet.
I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface.
Wow.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
There's a plan to put Bitcoin in mouse DNA with a genetically engineered virus. As you may know, a Bitcoin wallet can only be accessed using its private key, so they will buy some Bitcoin, then tie the mouse's value to that Bitcoin by editing the mouse's genetic code to carry the private key that controls the Bitcoins.
The most cutting-edge thing about Hannes Huerblad isn't the phone in his hand, it's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID, or make payments. A short moment of pain not putting them off becoming part Swede, part machine.
Today, I'm really excited to share with you new results on how we are working to directly interface machines with the human brain. A DARPA-funded research team led by the University of Pittsburgh has demonstrated for the first time ever in humans the experience of the sensation of touch through a robotic prosthetic arm connected directly to the brain. Despite being blindfolded, Nathan can identify with nearly 100% accuracy
Pinky.
which fingers on the robotic hand are being touched.
20 out of 20.
With this new development of adding sensation by directly sending signals from the robotic hand back into the brain, we have closed the loop between human and machine.
And you called it a neural lace. Some sort of interface directly with your cortical neurons particularly. But doesn't that imply surgical insertion? Not necessarily. You could go through the veins and arteries because that provides a complete roadway to all of your neurons. The neurons are very heavy users of energy, so they need high blood flow. So you automatically, with your veins and arteries, have a road network to your neurons.
These are the legs of a tiny army of robots. So small, they are dwarfed by a single-celled paramecium. Up until now, making moving parts at the micron scale has proven tricky. The robots are equipped with two minuscule solar cells. By shining a laser on each one, researchers can create the voltage which activates the front or back legs. These new actuators allow the tiny circuit to move, and because they are created using the same well-understood manufacturing processes as semiconductor electronics, their production can be easily scaled, making millions of tiny robots at the same time. Swarms of robots so small that they can be injected through a hypodermic syringe. To make the legs, a 7nm thick sheet of platinum is coated on one side with an inactive material like graphene.
A well-known example of carbon is the tip of pencils. The tip of pencils consists of graphite. Each layer of the carbon atoms form a honeycomb structure, which is called graphene. A single carbon atom consists of 6 protons, 6 or 7 neutrons, and 6 electrons.
Under the skin surveillance starts with monitoring your body temperature and blood pressure, but ultimately it's about hacking your body and brain and knowing what you're feeling each and every moment, not just pain or coughing, but our emotions. Just imagine North Korea in 20 years, when everybody has to wear a biometric bracelet which constantly monitors your blood pressure, your heart rate, your brain activity, 24 hours a day. You listen to a speech on the radio by the great leader, and they know what you actually feel. You can clap your hands and smile, but if you're angry, they know you'll be in the gulag tomorrow morning. Some governments and corporations, for the first time in history, have the power to basically hack human beings. you can understand people better than they understand themselves, and then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me, so whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
Producing and consuming energy often results in the emission of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. When we look closer, some households are more efficient in managing their energy consumption. Total energy requirements may be different from household to household due to many factors, but we all have room for improvement when it comes to bad practices of excess usage and energy waste. Leaders have decided to take action to try and reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. First, they set a monthly limit per household for the emission of greenhouse gases, which will be monitored on a regular basis. Each household then needs to pay for their emissions from their monthly carbon emission allowance. For the sake of simplicity, let's call these carbon credits. If one of the households decides they want to reduce their emissions through installing solar panels, buying more energy efficient appliances, switching to biomass energy sources, or other alternative solutions, they might have some carbon credits remaining at the end of the month. They can then sell their remaining carbon credits to households that are about to exceed the limit and need more. If a household doesn't have enough credits to cover their emissions that month, they will then pay a special tax.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. Where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned, we don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Picture your life in a place where everything you do, what you buy, how you behave, is tracked. The government gives you a score, and the score is a measure of how trustworthy you are as a citizen and determines what you're allowed to do. It's called social credit. It sounds like that show Black Mirror, but it's actually happening in China. The scores go from 350 to 950 and are based on habits and behavior. A lot of alcohol, too many video games, not so good. In 2014, the Communist Party called for a system to allow the trustworthy to roam everywhere under heaven while making it hard for the discredited to take a single step. You start with 1,000 points, and you can print out your report anytime. You lose points for things like jaywalking, littering, tossing cigarette butts, or spreading rumors. And each night, local TV shows the surveillance highlights of the day. And then there's Joanne. She's an information collector, a paid enforcer who walks around and writes down deeds about her neighbors. In Chongqing, we hooked up with Wang Huijun. He had a business until he was sued by a client, and Wang refused to pay 90 grand to settle it. So, the court put him on a social credit blacklist. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job, a loan, a hotel room, or put kids in certain schools. Then there's the public shaming, photo galleries of blacklisted citizens. There's even an app that shows who around you is in debt.